We begin the news with security matters in north-central Nigeria, where the abducted wife of the slain Olukoro of Koro in Ekiti local government area of Kogi State, Olori Yabo, and one other person have been rescued. It was gathered that the victims were released last night and arrived in Koro town around 10:45 p.m. The police public relations officer in Kwara, Ejire Adeyemi Tong, disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday. Though he did not reveal the identity of the other released victim, reports say the second abductee is the Queen's adopted daughter. Ejiri Adeyemi stated that the operation also led to the arrest of 13 male suspects who were presently in custody. The Queen was kidnapped on February 1st when gunmen invaded the palace and killed the traditional ruler, a retired army general. In Kogi State, kidnappers have abducted passengers of 2 Abuja-bound buses in the New Road area of Kogi East district. The incident involved a GIG and ABC bus heading to Abuja from the eastern part of the country. The GIG bus left Umuahia in Abia State at 7:30 a.m. local time on Saturday on its way to Abuja. In the wake of the abduction, GIG contacted security services to track the abductees. Meanwhile, Kogi State Police Commander has confirmed the incident. The command spokesperson, Ayah, in a statement on Monday, said the Divisional Police Officer of the area, local vigilantes and hunters have been in the bush in an effort to rescue the victims. Still on security matters in northwest Nigeria, officials say at least 35 women are missing after kidnappers seized guests returning from a wedding in Katsina State. Police spokesman Abubakar Aliyu said suspected armed bandits ambushed and kidnapped about 35 women returning from the wedding in the Subawa area. However, the State Internal Security Commissioner, Nasiru Muazu, gave a higher figure, saying more than 50 people were seized on the way to Damari village after escorting the bride to the groom's home. Muazu said officials visited the village and were told that 53 people were taken. Away from security matters, bread bakers in Nigeria have cautioned that the continuous hike in price of all baking supplies has become a threat to the industry. Commenting on the situation, Richard Adeyemi, Secretary of the Abuja chapter of the Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria, said the hike in prices towards the last quarter of 2023 forced many members out of business. In this report, News Central's Perpetua Fasome Peter speaks to some businesses within the bread-making value chain to establish the cause of the frequent hikes and proffer a lasting solution.
Staple food for many families in Nigeria. However, the continuous consumption of this staple food in many households is under threat, as many bread makers downed tools on Monday, February 5, in reaction to a recent hike in the price of essential ingredients like sugar, flour, butter, and yeast.
Bags of sugar I got was 62, but presently, as at today, is about 74,000. That's 12,000 naira increase. And for flour, I got the last batch at 43,500. As at present, is about 50,000 naira per bag. So as at present, we are not actually working, because if you look at the range at which the increase came in, it's not possible to actually continue business and have the same price going forward.
We notice that immediately increment comes on dollar, they'll start to increase their price. So that's the reason why even today, as I'm telling you today, I've not sold out the flour, because I noticed that they are not working. They didn't work. None of the bakery that works today.
This price movement will undoubtedly have a domino effect on the value chain, from the millers down to the final bread consumer.
If you look at the prices we are actually looking at, the commensurate increment will be about 50 naira, 100 naira. But for an average household, I increase the bride of price for like 50 naira. Then somebody that is selling sausage increases for 15 naira. Somebody that is into anything in the flour business is always 50 naira there, 100 naira there. Before you know it, you're already talking about 1,000 naira for an household.
The flour you see is not made in Nigeria. It's milled in Nigeria, but the wheat that is milled is imported.
Nigeria, blessed with rich human and natural resources, still sources most of its inputs abroad, making it susceptible to external shocks.
If we have invested in backward integration, we will be harvesting locally most of those things. And I hope that if we're intentional and lobby private sector to open the opportunities and private sector leverages on the opportunities, we would be able to, have less dependence and demand for dollars.
The reality is that this issue goes beyond just bread. It is about food security and the well-being of millions of Nigerians. This reality makes it imperative for the private sector to play a more prominent role, to invest in local production of key ingredients, foster collaboration between stakeholders, and explore alternative sources as a crucial step towards a sustainable future. In Lagos for News Central, I am Perpetua Fasami Peter.
Meanwhile, many residents in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, say the fear bread, an essential food for many families, might soon be out of reach because of the soaring price of flour, now affecting the cost of bread. Some of them spoke to News Central Television crew in Abuja, saying it is becoming difficult to buy bread for the family because of the rise in inflation affecting residents. Marvelous Obomanu visited the Mpape area of Abuja and now reports.
Bread is a staple food consumed by both the poor and rich in Nigeria and can be found in every store, shop, eatery, mall, or even motor parks because of its affordability. It is found on breakfast tables of many families, highlighting its importance as an essential food item. Made with flour, sugar, egg, yeast, and other items regarded as essentials, the rising cost of these items is now affecting the overall price of bread.
I'll show them this one, 1,500. Now you buy 1,500 naira. This one come?
The bread sellers here have expressed displeasure over the rising cost of bread in the market. Some of them have attributed the increment to the rising cost of buying flour, sugar, and milk. Some of them say before now they used to buy up to 20 baskets in a day, but because of the increment and the low turnout of customers, they now end up selling just 2 or 3 baskets.
They tell us, say, sugar, now 70,000. A bag of flour, 80,000. So now waiting they complain, say, it costs when you make bread, it can't cost. So amount of bread where we supposed to buy before, we no fit buy them again. And customer, when they follow, they buy, they complain. Say money no day, and they increase things.
This one 1, 2, very light, very light. It's not heavy. 1, 2, and I need one. I'm feeling hungry now. If I reach home, may I eat something? They say 1, 3. I never buy waiting. I will take it too.
The bread they here now, the roti for here, they buy and costly because waiting there for market, they no fit buy and make up.
Some of the bread sellers lament the current price of the commodity, now well above 1,000 naira, saying it is affecting their businesses as they are witnessing low patronage.
Bread when we supposed to sell 1,000, now 1,500. When they not get the money, how they go take buyer? No way. They go just waka come out. We go just there here, they look our market, we know they say.
You get one man, one of my customers, every blessing day they buy bread. But now, even a week, I never see them. They know they buy steady.
Although the sellers say, due to the current price, buying in large quantities is no longer feasible. This, in turn, is taking its toll on customers.
If I buy one, immediately when I reach home, me and my children fry. That one will finish. And know that the things is moving, the market is not moving. For me to able to be affording that 1,500 every week to buy bread, to do tea for them to go to school.
I have a son. I always buy all those things for him. But for now, I can't afford it anymore because of the price.
Before, if I want to buy bread, sometimes I buy like 10 baskets of bread. Sometimes they buy 20. But in now, I no fit even buy reach 4.
I will free buy this one 20 and I go sell them because that time now 1,000. But now, they sell it 1,100. They sell them 1,200.
With inflation biting hard on many households in Nigeria, the perishable nature of bread is not helping matters. Sellers say they are making losses because of poor sales, a situation grossly affecting their businesses. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
In the meantime, a cross-section of Nigerians have expressed concern as food prices continue to rise sharply. Consumers in Lagos say if the price of food persists while wages remain stagnant, managing finances will become a challenge for households. The call for immediate intervention to address both rising prices and stagnating incomes if inflation is to be brought under control. Ni Omoniyi has more.
Here is a view of what a food item list for an average Nigerian home looks like, with items such as rice, beans, curry, vegetable oil costing nearly a fortune.
For me to stock my home for a month, it will take like 250K. Yes, for you to buy everything, the curry, the beans, the rice, everything.
Rice is even worse, because at least rice was, before you can cook concoction with anything, your family will eat. But now rice, the kind of rice is 1.5 for the clean one, while the Nigerian rice is 1,001. With one full of stone. So it's only God that will help us.
For restaurant owners like Israel, who makes soup and stew which is accompanied by a Nigerian swallow or rice, amongst others, the choice to cook these revolves around luxury or necessity.
Because everything now for Nigeria is so expensive, and like in my own house, if I want to eat food, because I'm not yet married, so I will know the kind of food that I will buy, so that, because everybody now is managed, everybody is managed.
The minimum wage in Nigeria has been steady at 30,000 naira since 18 April 2019, although there has been calls for an increase to 200,000 naira and even 450,000 naira. The dream seems far-fetched.
The margin we had before was from 18,000 to 30, which was over 100%. And the question is, even 100% of 30,000 leaves us at 60. Can that take Nigerian workers home?
As the rising food costs push Nigeria's inflation rate to 28.9%, for most Nigerians, some of those food items have become essential commodities.
Before, I used to buy maybe half bag of rice, sometimes quarter, but now I don't even bother to buy it again. We just, we eat everything we see, not what we like before, just anything we see, we eat.
Just told my children, don't waste food though. Before, they are full flags to school, I can full it, but now I have to ration it so that sometimes they come back with food, but now they will finish, mommy, that food is not okay, but manage it.
Staple food items that many Nigerians rely on for sustenance have seen substantial price rises. The average price of a carton of noodles have increased to 5,900 naira, while a bag of rice now costs 70,000 naira on average. Plantains, a commonly consumed vegetable, are selling for 500 to 1,000 naira per 5 strands. The cost of a kilogram of Titus fish and chicken has risen to 3,000 naira and 3,500 naira respectively, with others like bread, yam and egg costing nearly an arm or leg. These rising prices outpace Nigeria's minimum wage, which has become insufficient to cover the basic needs of average person, given additional living expenses such as transportation, healthcare and housing. Is it likely to get better, or should Nigerians brace up for the days ahead?
While many hope that Nigerian government does something quickly about the situation, a general term, thank you, used for this kind of period is called the survival mode in Nigeria. In Lagos for News Central, Ni Omoni.
Similarly, let's also tell you that residents of Minna, the Niger State capital in Nigeria's north central, are protesting the high cost of living in the country, blocking major roads within the metropolis. The protesters said a rise in cost of food items and poor government efforts to arrest the situation forced them to block major roads so government can hear their cry. The Deputy Governor of Niger State, Yakubu Garba, while addressing protesters, said the government is aware of the pain and hardship families are faced with at this time. Eliam Olade Ario, a public affairs analyst, joined us on this, and this was what he has to say.
I will expect an incoming person into an office to take up the office, sit in the office, study the environment, have an understanding before taking drastic decisions that may impact very negatively on every facet of the community or wherever the person may find himself. We are where we are now because of the hurried and hurried decision of Mr. President to have removed fuel subsidy before he could understand the likely consequences of subsidy removal. We all agree that there were some scams involved in that operation of the subsidy, but decapitation, as we always say, is never the solution to headache. You don't cut your nose to spite your face.
As the world commemorates the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, Nigeria must join in the fight to end this nuisance in the country. With the theme, Her Voice, Her Future, the government, non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations and communities must lend their voice to making sure they protect the sexuality of young girls and women. In 2012, the UN General Assembly designated February 6th as International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, aiming to amplify and direct the efforts to eliminate this practice. According to UN, despite this, in 2024, nearly 4.4 million girls, or more than 12,000 each day, are at risk of FGM around the world. And to talk about this in detail, I'm being joined by Celine Lafukiye. She is the Chief UNICEF Lagos Officer. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me on this important day.
All right, let's get straight into it. Now, looking at the United Nations targets to end FGM by 2030, but looking at the current trends we have as at now, is these targets achievable?
Thank you. This is a very important question indeed. There has been quite a lot of progress made towards eliminating female genital mutilation, and there are numbers that are still alarming. So allow me to say that 30 years ago, about 3 times the amount of girls that are at risk of facing female genital mutilation today were at risk. So we have made progress. However, as we're looking in the Lagos and the region, the prevalence of female genital mutilation, in Nigeria is still the highest in the southeast, with 35% of 0 to 14 years old girls being affected, followed by the southwest with still 30%. And if we zoom in specific states, we see that Ekiti, for example, still accounts for nearly 24% of girls affected by FGM, and Oyo State still accounts for 21% of girls affected by FGM. So in answer to your question, we are moving. UNICEF does recognize the progress made in Nigeria and worldwide, but we do need to accelerate efforts to make sure that we can reach the elimination of FGM in Nigeria by 2030. And to do that, we would need to move at 10 times the pace that we're moving at the moment.
Celine, talking about efforts, take us through some of the survival-led initiatives designed to end FGM practice in Nigeria.
Thank you for this question. So female genital mutilation is very important to understand. It's a human rights violation. So supported by the Violation Against Persons Nigerian Act, which was put in place in 2015, the partners have started the movement for good, together with UNFPA, UNICEF, started the movement for good to make sure that we can amplify the voices of the girls and women who have survived female genital mutilation, with a view to make sure we give them a voice to start with. The subject is extremely taboo, and therefore these victims need to be able to get over the taboo, get over the shame that it implies for them, and talk about it. But talk about it to raise awareness on the prevalence sometimes of female genital mutilation, but also on how we can use their voices to make sure that we empower other girls and women to actually develop their skills and start thriving in their own lives.
Celine, if you can, share with us some of the misconceptions that justify the practice of FGM.
So the misconceptions are very linked to the different cultures and religions around the world, and in Nigeria, the same, that women are born to procreate and stay at home bringing up the children rather than enjoy and thrive through a fully fulfilled life, for lack of a better word. So what this vision obviously violates is the human rights of girls and women and gender equality. But it also does not take into account the fact that there comes health issues with female genital mutilation. When talking to victims and survivors, we realize that when giving birth, this causes big issues sometimes, and equally for enjoying a normal sexual life, which is not possible once the victims have gone through FGM.
All right, thank you so much for your time on the news. Celine Lafukiye, thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control has banned alcoholic beverages produced in sachets less than 200 ml. The agency said the 5-year window given to the manufacturers of the products to stop producing the drinks in sachets and PET bottles, which began in 2018, elapsed on January 31st, 2024. She said enforcement of the ban commenced on February 1st, 2024. Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, while addressing the media over the development in Abuja on Monday, said the ban was not a sudden development but a result of a multilateral committee that agreed that the ban would be in phases, whereby production would be reduced by 50% by 2020, while outright ban would be on January 31st, 2024. Nigeria and the Kingdom of Netherlands have signed a memorandum of understanding to expand cooperation in several fields, including migration. And this was as the Dutch Minister for Foreign Trade and Development Relations said. The Minister of Migration both visited Nigeria's foreign ministry in the nation's capital, Abuja. They said the MOU will strengthen ties between both countries and expand cooperation predating independence. Amadine Uyi reports.
The home of Royal Dutch Shell, one of Nigeria's largest international oil companies active in the country. Nigeria-Netherlands relations has spanned many years prior to independence. With other Dutch companies, Philips, Friesland Campina, and a host of others, trade relations between both countries have continued to expand. In 2021 alone, Nigeria exported crude oil, foodstuff, and liquefied petroleum gas to Netherlands, worth a combined fee of $2.603 billion, while Nigeria imported refined petroleum products, non-fillet frozen fish, and concentrated milk from Netherlands, worth about $3.877 billion.
Our relations obviously go much deeper and longer than just that agriculture project we saw this morning. We are, from our side, your biggest trading partner in Africa. You're the biggest economy. We are I think the number 3 investor, but over time always in the top 5 investor into Nigeria. We are also your top 3 trading partner, and I think last year we reached another around 8 billion in terms of bilateral trade. So we are long-term partners.
Officials of the Kingdom of Netherlands led by the Dutch Minister for Foreign Trade and Development Relations, met with senior representatives from Nigeria's Foreign Ministry to sign a memorandum of understanding on cooperation in the field of migration and other areas of interest. They said the MOU will improve relations between both nations.
But ever since the visit of Prime Minister Rutte to your former president, we decided to strengthen even more our relationship in a much broader field, indeed migration, political, regional, and all the aspects of a mature relationship. So we're really again here today to strengthen that relationship and make it even deeper and stronger than it is today, because you are the key player in Africa and our key partner. So we want to work on that and build on that.
This political consultation is also one of such platforms where we have to discuss bilateral issues on trade and investment, on migration, on agriculture, water resources, consular.
They also add that they are positive this will herald a new era for both countries.
It's a very robust platform and robust relationship we have, and I hope that after now we'll go into all the conversations, and then we'll sign the memorandum of understanding for which you are here.
Strengthen our bonds to fight against human traffickers, but also to help the victims. And here also today to talk about, and tomorrow to talk about migration in all kind of ways, because we are working together very closely, but why not try to get it even better than it already is.
In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi. The government has renewed the suspension of commercial flights from Niger Republic to Nigeria and from Nigeria to the nation's northern neighboring country by the Economic Community of West African States resolution. ECOWAS put forth this resolution in response to the event in Niger Republic on July 26, 2023, when the democratically elected president Mohamed Bazoum was ousted in a coup and replaced by the military junta led by General Abdurrahman Chiani. This directive was contained in a letter titled ECOWAS Restriction on the Republic of Nigeria from the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency Aeronautical Information Services, dated February 2, 2024, and signed by the Director of Air Traffic Services, Tayo John, on behalf of the agency's Managing Director and Chief Executive. We continue in West Africa, where Senegalese lawmakers voted late Monday to delay this month's presidential election until December, an unprecedented move that has sparked international concern over a country normally seen as a beacon of stability in West Africa. The bill was passed unanimously with 105 votes in favor and 1 against after opposition deputies were forcibly removed from the chamber.
Ils ont pu développer un lexique de vocabulaire pour nous parler de dérogation, pour nous parler de suspension ou d'annulation. Il ne s'agit rien d'autre que d'un prolongement du mandat du président de la République au-delà du terme qui est prévu par la Constitution. Il a prêté serment d'être le serviteur absolu de la nation. Mais vous avez constaté avec nous qu'il vient lui-même d'organiser un coup d'État constitutionnel. Le 2 avril, quel que soit ce qu'ils ont décidé, puisque l'article 103 de la Constitution dit que la durée du mandat du président ne peut faire l'objet de modification. Le 2 avril, comme Macky Sall lui-même l'avait dit à plusieurs reprises, son mandat prend fin.
Quand ils nous ont donné le texte, ils nous ont dit que les élections allaient avoir lieu au mois d'août, le 25 août. Les gendarmes nous ont évacués de la salle pour pouvoir faire passer l'amendement. Maintenant, les élections ne sont plus pour le 25 août, ils sont pour le 15 décembre. Donc, on est parti pour 1 an indu au président Macky Sall. Nous lançons, on appelle un peuple. Le moment est venu de montrer que nous sommes un grand peuple. Le moment est venu de montrer que nous sommes des démocrates. Le moment est venu de montrer que notre...
Let's turn to East Africa, where at least 11 villages have died in attacks blamed on the Allied Democratic Forces rebel group in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Local officials said the ADF, a militia linked to the Islamic State group, launched the raids in several villages in the Mambasa area of Ituri province on Monday morning. Head of a local civil group in the Babila Bombabi district of Mambasa, Mandela Moise, said 13 people had been killed, most of them farmers. A police official in Mombasa district said 11 corpses had been found in different parts of the forest. The ADF is one of the deadliest militias in the strife-torn area. It pledged allegiance to the Islamic State organization in 2019. A Kenyan court on Tuesday charged a court leader and dozens of suspected accomplices with murder over the deaths of nearly 200 people. According to court documents, self-proclaimed pastor Paul Ntenze Makenenze and 29 other suspects pleaded not guilty to 191 counts of murder. The 31st suspect was deemed to lack the mental fitness to stand trial. Makenenze is alleged to have incited his acolytes to starve to death to meet Jesus in a case that has provoked horror across the world. He was arrested last April after bodies were discovered in the Shakahola forest near the Indian Ocean. Kenyan police on Tuesday said they had arrested the main suspect in a deadly gas blast that triggered a huge fireball in a densely populated area of Nairobi district, the country's capital. The death toll from a gas explosion last week has risen to 6 after 3 more victims died from their burns. Of the 280 wounded in the blast, 53 are still receiving care in 2 of the Kenyan capital's hospitals. A truck laden with gas canisters exploded just before midnight last Thursday in Embakasi, a densely populated Nairobi district, unleashing a trail of destruction and sending people running for their lives. So far, the only person arrested was a security guard at the site. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Egypt on Tuesday as part of his latest Middle East crisis tour. Blinken is seeking a new ceasefire and an enduring end to the Israel-Hamas war. Heavy strikes and fighting in Gaza killed at least 99 people overnight, mostly women and children. Fear grew for more than 1 million Palestinians crowded into the far southern Rafah area as the battlefront draws ever closer in Israel's campaign to eradicate Hamas over the October 7 attack. Blinken, on his 5th regional tour since the bloodiest ever Gaza war broke out, was due to meet Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi a day after he had talks with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Riyadh. The African Union has urged an end to external interference in Libya, which has been torn by a devastating civil war since 2011. A NATO-backed uprising led to the overthrow and killing of longtime dictator Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. The African Union, holding its 9th special meeting in Libya, underscored the need to back Libyan efforts to return to normalcy. An inter-Libyan reconciliation meeting is scheduled to take place on April 28 in Seti in Libya. The chairman of the African Union Commission, Moussa Faki Mahamat, also said that the Libyan crisis has endured too long and cost its people dearly and fomented terrorism in the Sahel region.